Hey mathematicians, it's Justin again. Right now, I'm packing for my trip to sunny Miami, but I have a problem. My suitcase might be too big to fit in the overhead bin on the plane. The airline says carry-on bags can't be bigger than 22 inches long, 14 inches wide, and 9 inches tall. What do you think? Will it fit? And what could I do to know for sure? Since the airline uses inches, it's helpful to measure with the same unit. I'll use my tape measure to check and see if the suitcase will fit. First, the length, 21 inches, great, it's under 22 inches. Now the width, 14 inches, perfect. Finally, the height. 9.5 inches. Oh, it's just half an inch too tall. Maybe if I just press down on it, like... Nope, not gonna work. Looks like it'll have to go under the plane in the cargo area instead. You know, measuring that suitcase shows how helpful it can be to check first. I wonder what else we can measure. By the end of today's lesson, you'll be able to name the different units we use to measure length, like inches, feet, yards, and miles. You'll also know when to use each unit and how to switch between them using multiplication and division. Have your guided notes ready, and let's get ready for takeoff. There are lots of different units of measurement, ranging from the very small to the very big. Inches are the smallest unit we'll study today. 1 inch is about the length of a paper clip. They're great for measuring small objects like a pencil or a boarding pass. Which unit of measurement is equal to 12 inches? 1 foot. Feet are useful for measuring medium-sized items or short distances, like the space between airplane seats. And the unit of measurement equal to 3 feet? 1 yard. Yards are great for larger measurements, like the length of an airplane. 1 yard is also 36 inches. Miles are the biggest unit we'll study today. A mile is 1,760 yards, or 5,280 feet. Miles are perfect for measuring really long distances, like the space between cities. On vacation, you might measure a sandcastle's height in inches or a pool's length in yards. Pause here and list 2 things you can measure in the world around you and the best unit for each. All right, mathematicians, I'm looking at how far the flight is from Portland, Oregon to Miami, Florida. Let's check the flight map to see the distance. Whoa, that's a big number. The map says it's 4,752,000 yards from Portland to Miami. Do you think yards are the best unit for such a long distance? You're right, miles would be better. Yards work for shorter distances, like a soccer field, but for something this big, we need to convert it to miles. When we convert, we change a measurement from one unit to another. Here, we're converting yards to miles to make the distance easier to understand. But how do we figure that out? It might help if we start with some smaller measurements. For example, the flight information screen is 96 inches long. How could we figure out how many feet are equal to 96 inches? Remember, there are 12 inches in 1 foot, so we could continue the pattern. 24 inches in 2 feet, 36 inches in 3 feet, until we get to 96 inches. But how else could we figure this out? Pause here to record your thinking in your guided notes. When we convert from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, we're basically dividing those smaller units into equal groups. In this case, equal groups of 12, since there are 12 inches in 1 foot. That means 96 inches is the same as 8 feet, because 96 divided by 12 equals 8. Back to our flight map. So we have 4,752,000 yards, and we need to figure out how many miles that is. There are 1,760 yards in 1 mile. Pause here to record the problem. Since we're going from a smaller unit, yards, to a bigger unit, miles, we need to divide this huge number into equal groups of 1,760. Let me type that into my calculator. Turns out the flight distance is 2,700 miles. That is much easier to think about than millions of yards. Now, let's flip it. The length of the airplane is listed in yards, but I want to know how many feet that is. We're going from a bigger unit, yards, to a smaller unit, feet. It's the opposite of what we did earlier. So what's the opposite of division? Multiplication. Since there are 3 feet in 1 yard, we'd multiply the number of yards by 3 to figure out the number of feet. The airplane is 80 yards long, so to convert to feet, we multiply 80 times 3, which equals 240 feet. So, to convert from a smaller unit to a bigger one, we divide. And to go from a bigger unit to a smaller one, we multiply. Keep that in mind as we dive into some practice problems. Okay, mathematicians, let's practice with some more airport examples. First, the hallway to my gate is 120 feet long. How many yards is that? Pause here to convert from feet to yards in your guided notes. We're going from a smaller unit to a bigger one, so we divide. Since 1 yard equals 3 feet, 120 divided by 3 equals 40 yards. The hallway is 40 yards long. What else can we measure? Oh, the information screen behind the desk is 72 inches long. How many feet is that? Pause here to calculate. Again, we're going from a smaller unit to a bigger one, so we divide. 72 divided by 12 equals 6 feet. The welcome screen is 6 feet long. Now, the row of seats at my gate is 5 yards long. How many inches is that? Wait, inches? Inches are 2 units smaller than yards. What steps could we take to figure out how many inches are in 5 yards? Pause the video to jot down your ideas. Okay, let's break it down. First, convert yards to feet. 5 yards times 3 feet per yard equals 15 feet. Then convert feet to inches. 15 feet times 12 inches per foot equals 180 inches. So the row of seats is 180 inches long. Notice what we did here. A double conversion, yards to feet to inches. But how could we convert directly from yards to inches? That's right, we can multiply by 36 because there are 36 inches in a yard. Let's check. 5 times 36 equals 180 inches. Same answer, fewer steps. Ooh, it's almost time for takeoff. Time to wrap this up. So, what have we learned today? Besides the fact that I probably overpacked for my vacation. Now you know the 4 customary units of length are inches, feet, yards, and miles. You know to divide when converting a smaller unit to a bigger unit, and to multiply when converting a bigger unit to a smaller unit. These relationships make it easy to switch between units no matter what you're measuring. You've done an amazing job today. Great work. Be sure to complete the practice questions and extension activities that go with this lesson to practice converting between units and deciding which ones make sense to use for different situations. All right, I'm off to Miami. Thanks for your help, mathematicians. Don't worry, I'll be back for our next lesson. Or maybe I'll see you in Miami. And remember, mathematicians, in math, as in life, every effort adds to your success. I'll see you next time.